Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you. When people respond, then meaning they're attentive. Yeah, so Mudenda Macmillan is my name. I work for National Heritage Conservation Commission in Zambia, based at the head office. I am Director Conservation Services. I was just telling my colleagues that no, I got this appointment yesterday. Before coming here, I was something else. So I'll go back now as a director. Yeah, so basically, we are looking at tourism and rock art in the post-colonial context, the case of Zambia. So in trying just to make people understand what this is all about, I'll try just to speed up and also show you what Zambia has to offer. I know a number of us haven't been to Zambia. Maybe after this presentation, you can change your mind and think of visiting and do some research in rock art, because we need researchers in that field. Yeah, so basically Zambia is a landlocked country with an area of 752,000 square kilometers. So we are literally surrounded Tanzania, Angola, Zimbabwe, Botswana, Namibia, and such countries. Then Zambia has abundant cultural heritage, and it's also home of some of the most significant rock art in Southern Africa. Most of our concentration actually on rock art is found in northern part of Zambia. I think you will see as I show you the map. Thank you. Yeah, so in the post-colonial, we got independence at 1964, 24th of October. So basically, post-colonial has seen a lot of changes. Most of our sites, I was just checking our act. At independence, we had 33 declarations for national monuments. So right now, we are sitting at over 100. So the rock paintings have taken a different dimension and significance of not only being archaeological treasure, but also potential drivers of cultural tourism and economic diversification. So post-colonial context brings a challenge of choosing between conservation, commercialization, heritage, and economic development. Because some of these sites, literally, they are sitting next to some built-up areas, I think, as you're going to see as I present. So they bring that challenge of how do you balance between conservation and also development. So also issues of population increment has also affected how we manage. So in Zambia, what governs heritage is the NHCC Act, National Heritage Conservation Commission Act, Cap 173 of 1989. So this act, before we became what we are called now, National Heritage Conservation Commission, where National Monuments and Relics Commission, that was the name. So at 1948, then after independence until 1989, the name had to change so that it's broader. Remember, we take care of both natural and cultural heritage, so that had to change. So our mandate basically is to conserve and protect heritage resources, declare sites as national monuments, manage a register of monuments in the country, issuance of archaeological or geomorphological or geoarchaeological permits in case you want to do any research. It's done through the head office, issuance of export permit for research purposes, and also provision of basic infrastructure at heritage sites. So this is a classification of heritage in our country. We have the natural and the cultural. Remember, we are dealing with immovable heritage because the movable one is dealt by the Museums Board. So under the natural, we have geology, geomorphology, and ecology. And cultural, we have archaeological, traditional anthropology, architectural, historic sites, and engineering heritage. So those are the classifications we have. So those are some of the number of waterfalls we have. Zambia is a land of waterfalls, especially the north. Remember, we are near Congo, so the rain belt there is something else. Now, the interesting part you're going to see is that most of these rock art sites, they are all near a water source, either a waterfall, a spring, or a hot spring, or a stream. So almost all of them, that's how they are located. So there's that link between the nature and culture. Then in terms of cultural heritage, we have some of the paintings and engravings you are seeing there. That's a steam locomotive. We also run site museums. So where we want to interpret a site, so we do run site museums as well. Yeah, so Zambia has one World Heritage Site, which is the Victoria Falls, shared with Zambia and Zimbabwe. Then we have 112 gazetted national monuments. We have 4,000 sites listed on our register. We have 735 rock art sites, out of which 700 are found at Mwera Rock Art, which is in northern Zambia. So that's a distribution. You notice, yeah. So you notice that the concentration of rock art in Zambia, first of all, is in the eastern part, and the one you find in the eastern is different from what you find in northern and the central part of the country. Then when you go to the northwest part of the country, also it's different. So you see that there's a gap here in the southern part. Literally, I don't think there's no rock art, but I think further research has to be done because we are bordered with countries which have rock art around here. So there should be some rock art which needs further research. So this is how it's distributed. Then what you find on the eastern part is what reflects in Malawi, sites like Chongoni. So the basically is the same type of rock art which is found there. So I'll start with the north. The northern Zambia, we have Kapisha Hot Spring here. There is rock art there. We have the Mwera rock art. The highest concentration of rock art is here. Then we also have the Nsalu caves and a number of those which have rock art. So so this is what you find at Mwera rock art paintings. So this is where we have about 700 sites. And the interesting part is that the locals use, they call it a spirit site because at times they would offer sacrifice and just leave the food for the spirits to come and eat. So there's that link between the community and also the site. So they appreciate actually having the site around that area. So this is the northern region. What I forgot to mention is that the country is divided into 4 regions in terms of heritage. So this is part of the Kapisha hot spring. Not far from this hot spring, actually you find this. And the interesting part of the water of this hot spring, basically you can drink. Most hot springs, when you find water, you can't drink it because there's a lot of sulfur. But this hot spring, it's basically just water which you have bought. It's clean water. So here there's a lot of rock art. Of course, most of it is faded because this area where it is, most of it is a high rainfall area up north. Then this is in northwestern part of the country. This is Congo, the one you're seeing above here, Congo. Then Angola is this side. Then, so here we have rock engravings. At this place, there's a stream here, Kifua stream, cave. So there are rock engravings here. And also here, there are rock paintings and engravings. So as I said, there's a link on where people are settling in terms of water source. So, and this is what you find. That's the waterfall, Nyambwezi waterfall, where you find this type of engravings, and it's both engravings and paintings. This one below is not very clear, but this one was found at Kifua stream, but there was a lot of graffiti because this is very near to a well-developed settlement or town, just about 6 kilometers away. So most people, if they have nothing to do, they'll just go and write Mudenda was here with paint. So now trying to clean that paint becomes a challenge. So the eastern part of the country, as I said, so here we have quite a number of rock paintings and engravings. So these ones, they are white, most of them white pigments, so in terms of color which was used. The other sites I was showing you, most of them actually are red pigments. But these ones in the eastern part, if you know about Malawi, you find that basically what you find in Malawi is what is found in the eastern side of the country. So, and that's the type of painting you find. Most of it is white paintings and a bit of engravings at the same sites. So this site is basically within a ZNS, Zambia National Service camp. So this wire was put in 1964. It's still standing because it's in a camp. Had it been outside, people would have made use of it, maybe at their farm or something. But When we went there, we find that the site is very intact. There's no one who trespasses because it's in a military farm. Yeah, so the southern part, as I mentioned, there's only one known site, which is the Mudenda rock engravings. So that's the picture you're seeing. Someone tried to, this thing was moved from the site. So the villagers actually had to stop that person and confiscate it from him. So if you see, it's sitting on site. But this one, this is how they are. It's quite a large area where you find these engravings. So in terms of visitation to our sites, you see that of all sites which we have is this Nachikufu cave, which has, this is an annual for 2024, only 218 visitors who went there. The Mwera Rock Art has 2,968 people who visited. And if you look at these others, are just waterfalls where we don't have rock paintings or rock art. So mostly it's nature-based in terms of people visiting this site. So where they visit, where there's also paintings and maybe a hot spring, that's a different case. People most likely they'll be going to visit either a waterfall or a hot spring, then they end up visiting a rock art. But for rock art itself, most of people who go there are school children. So tourism is a growing sector in Zambia's economy and was recently classified as an economic sector. So heritage initially was classified as a social sector, meaning we are not expected to make any money. The government will give us grants, but over the years, I think the last 5 years, government is saying, no, you guys, you need to change the way you look at heritage. So start making money. So right now we are given a grant, but also we are allowed to retain the income we raise. Most government departments or statutory bodies are not allowed to retain, but for heritage sector, they have allowed us because I think they have also put that there are certain cases where it's emergency. You don't have to wait for government to give you money. So you should have money in your own account to make whatever interventions you want to make. So tradition is tourism Zambia, like what was presented over Zimbabwe is better nature-based. Mostly people visit waterfalls and also wildlife. So in Zambia, the most attractive site is basically the Victoria Falls World Heritage Site, which is a natural site. Then in terms of cultural tourism involving rock paintings, this one remains undeveloped and holds a significant potential. I think what we need, most of these sites, basically, apart from one site, the rest you don't find anything. If you go there, basically you might just find the shelter itself. But the Mwera Rock Art is very near the provincial town of Kasama in northern Zambia. So this one is just 5 kilometers away. It has the population, it has the potential to generate more income. But I think we just have to do more marketing so that there's awareness, people appreciate what that site has to offer. So in terms of statistics, in 2024, Zambia received a total of 2,199,000 visitors. And this was 35% more than 2023. And for domestic tourists, those who came, there were 530 who visited the heritage sites and the museum. So you can see the difference that about 1.5, 1.6, basically most of them, they just come for conferences and meetings. Okay, that's the major attraction in Zambia. But the figures for 2024 actually were showing a 9% increment. So in terms of revenue generation, the tourism sector basically 2024 generated about $13 million, then as compared to 8 million in 2023. Then tourism is contributing about 5.8 to Zambia's GDP from the time it was classified as an economic sector. Then in terms of challenges, which we find a number of these, if you see, those are people who are crushing stones. The Mwera Rock Art site, which I talked about, is quite a huge site. It's about 10 square kilometers. But then there are certain outcrops which are a bit isolated, and then there's a bit of no rock art which is found at some of those sites. So what would happen is that we had to redemarcate some of the boundary just to allow people to continue that activity where there was no concentration of rock art. So that people are not encouraged to come and crush stones where there are paintings. But this is very controlled as we speak now. People are given permits to do that. Then inadequate infrastructure, limited public awareness, insufficient funding for this. Despite the retention, again, money is still not enough, but we hope that will improve. And also harvesting of resources amongst this, and the increase in population actually is affecting some of these sites. So recommendation is that an urgent need to decolonize heritage management, and this should involve recognizing that rock art is not simply an archaeological artifact, but also a form of living heritage that with deep spiritual and historical connotations for local communities. So as a country navigates its post-colonial identity, the country potential of rock art must be approached with both ambition and caution. So thank you so much.
Thank you for the presentation, Doc. My question is in something that you said in passing, that there's graffiti, and if you know, as graffitis polluting that place, how sure are we that what we call rock art is not graffiti itself, or is not defined as graffiti by the ancient? Like it didn't need approval. Like how do we make separation between, you know, ancient graffiti and you know, modern manifestation of graffiti? And maybe the question is, were the artists defining their work as art, you know, so that we call it rock art, or it had other purposes?
Yeah, I think the presentations we had from day one, I think some of those aspects were attached. In terms of graffiti, I mean when I go and write my name at a site, it's different from someone who's painting a vehicle. So for me, that's really graffiti, because if I'm trying to portray my lifestyle, apart from a name, I consider that graffiti. But then most of our sites, we have workers who basically try to control such things. So most of these things happen in the night. That's when people come to start doing that. But most sites are now controlled. But in terms of trying to see whether this is graffiti, or how do we define whether it's rock art or graffiti, I mean, we saw the definitions of what rock art constitutes, and basically what we are talking about are people who are depicting their past and trying to show their how they were living. But what we find now when you talk of graffiti, basically is people just putting their names there. Very little to do with what their lifestyle right now. Maybe 1 million years from now, maybe people will see what we are writing as our names as rock art. I don't know, but I don't think so, because those are basically people putting names there. I hope I've tried to answer your question.
Oh, thank you so much for the presentation. I'm just curious, when you mentioned that most of the rock art sites are found in sources of water, are there any ethnographic records or oral records from local communities that link the rock art sites to the sources of water that surround them? Thank you.
I think one of the sites which I'm aware of is the Mwera rock art, because I think it's a bit recent in terms of the paintings, and it's also associated with the people who are within that area. Northern Zambia, I don't find people who are tall as me. Most of them are very short. I don't know, those were but who are people from the research. So really that's why they've continued even using the site for ancestral spirits. They're saying, no, this is our spiritual site. If a chief dies in that area, there's one area which is very sacred, and that's where the body is kept before the chief is buried. So there's still that continuous use. So that's why I say I think that site has a lot of significance to the records. The others not so much, but I can remember one site which is the Mura Rock Art.
Another question there. Thanks so much, Macmillan. That was very interesting. My question is related to the previous. Do you know who made the paintings and engravings? Is it a tradition that is still continuing to this day? And the communities that live around the paintings and engravings, because I can see it's right throughout Zambia. Do they lay claim to the rock art?
There's no community really which lay claim to the rock art, but I'm just trying to go to the slide. Yeah, so this slide. So basically, the one you find this side because of the nature of the painting. So you find a bit of because this is the Iron Age period when some of these paintings were done. This side, I think, going by the research which was done by some time back by Benjamin Smith. Then for these ones around Kasama is actually here. The Mwera Rock Art site. So these ones are the Batwa people. There's a link with Congo in DRC. So the lifestyle which is in Congo, I think I'm told still there are some people who are related to this site, because there are certain communities where I think 4 years ago, just near the border of Congo, these are people who at times have never even seen a motor vehicle. So there's that lifestyle. They don't even wear clothes. So they are still there. The pickings of the Ituri forest. So you find that there's that link. But the current people who are here, I think they're just using the site for spiritual sacrifices and their ceremonies. But they still claim that actually they are linked to these people who used to live here.
Hello. Okay. Thank you very much for a very interesting presentation. There was a slide where there were paintings and engravings. I'm interested in knowing whether those ones are found on the same rock surface, and if they are the maybe literature that you can refer us to for further reading on that, because that is really quite a very interesting phenomena. And then also I'm interested in knowing, since you are pursuing issues of tourism on rock art sites, do you have a strategy in place which will ensure the balance between conservation and tourism, or do you just want to push the agenda of tourism? Because I think that is now becoming problematic, especially when we just try to concentrate on tourism, and then we found wanting in issues of conservation and trying to balance the two. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so this is the place. It's in northwest of the country. In terms of literature, there's not so much about rock art in Zambia. That's why I think at the beginning I said this might attract people to come and do more research, because first of all, most people who come to do research, if they're outsiders, they will concentrate more on maybe fossils. Yeah, fossils and also archaeology, apart from not rock art. So there's still room for further research just to try to understand how this was done. And then in terms of literature, I think there's a book I can share with you, which is in soft copy by Benjamin Smith. He tried to dissect the rock art which is found in Zambia, trying to mention how it was done and distributed. So I think that's the only literature I can refer to for now. But people are free. My office gives research actually. So if you want to come and do research, you just write to national heritage, and we gladly offer you that opportunity to do research in the country. Thank you.
There was a question here, and after a last question. No, here? Okay. So Mali, Hugo, and after we finish with...
Yes, I didn't finish. Then the other part, sorry. Yeah, we are very much understaffed. In as much as we push this agenda, I think we're just trying to now to employ, because I think there was an employment freeze for the last almost 5 years. So literally we want to employ about 40 conservators starting January. So basically we need to also start training them to see how best they can also be, because we don't have tour guides at these sites. Each site maybe will have only 3-4 workers. So imagine you go to a site and you just allow someone to work on his own. They won't know the do's and don'ts. So first of all, we need to, in as much as we want to open up, we need to improve on that.
Yeah, thank you so much for your presentation. I have a question. I think it's a slide where there is hot spring and the rock art. I just want to know, do you have any community members or tourists coming to the hot springs for maybe cultural and spiritual activities? If yes, is the rock art not at risk, or is it a bit further, or do they never at all go to the rock art site?
Yeah, so actually this particular hot spring is in someone's farm. This farm is, so in Zambia, the good part with our act, you can't claim ownership to any natural site in the country. The only thing you can claim is a cultural site. For any natural site, whether it's in your farm or not, the state has access to it, but we have allowed this person to basically run because he has a lodge next door. So the paintings are maybe about 1 kilometer away from here. And there's a lot of, actually, a lot of them around this area. So people do come to this, and also they are told about so there's a worker who is stationed here basically who helps to guide people to paid by the commission. This is in Shoangandu. There's a very big historic house also in this same, it's a very big farm. Literally, these were the area settlers in terms of whites who came in the country. So the great-grandchildren are the one now who are running the farm. So it also has wildlife, so it's quite big. Yeah, but it's protected because it's within someone's farm. Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much for your overview of Zambia. Two small questions. One regarding the photograph of the mining. How close is it to rock art sites? Are we talking about meters? Are we talking about just a potential threat? I mean, what is the situation problematic today, or is it potentially problematic in the future? And second question, but if it's too long to answer to that question, we can also talk about it later. I know the whole Southern Africa now is UNESCO rock art sites, except Mozambique and Zambia. I know that Zambia missed the train in 2005, 6, 7, something like that. Do you know why? And secondly, is there any interest today is there a will to list one site, especially Mwala or Kasama area, as a UNESCO site? Thank you.
Yeah, so let me start with the last one. Actually, the same Kasama site is on the tentative list of the World Heritage. It's one of the sites actually we submitted it for preliminary assessment. There's Kalambo and Mwera Roka. So basically, that one is sitting on a tentative list. So it's one site which we want to try to list on the World Heritage list. Then the issue of stone crushers, I think as I said, the site is quite big. It's 10 square kilometers. So the area we have allowed them to quarry, basically there are no paintings after an assessment was done. Because even if we stop them, we said, okay, they might start coming to where the paintings are. I know how people are. In the night, they'll put dynamos and blow up the painting. So trying to compromise, said, okay, this area will allow people to quarry. But beyond this, once you finish this, don't come and trouble us. So the law is quite strict, actually. If we wanted, would have had them arrested. And most of these people who are doing this are coming from town. It's not the local communities around the area. So these are people who are looking for economic survival. So we have allowed them a certain section, which we have moved out of the main site of the area.